for the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment. And that's right, it's time for a 2017 NFL 7-round mock draft for the Tennessee Titans, my favorite team. And before other fans of other teams comment down below, no, I'm sorry, I can't do your team because I just don't have the time. But I do have the time to do my own team, the Tennessee Titans. And the mock draft should be displayed on your screen now. And, you know, right now, there's still a lot of uncertainty as it pertains to what the Titans plan to do in this upcoming draft. But things are becoming a little more solidified. There's been a couple more rumors coming out this week. And I use that to influence me somewhat. Let's start with the first round. Let's talk about the first round. Who will the Titans take in the first round with their first two picks? We have the number 5th overall pick and the number 18 overall pick. And with the first pick, with the 5th overall pick, the current rumor is that the Titans have locked in on cornerback Marshon Lattimore out of Ohio State. That is what Matt Miller, the Bleacher Report writer, came out with this week and said in his scouting notebook. And I could see that for sure. I mean, they need a cornerback right now. I mean, not very strongly, not as much as they did need one before free agency, before they signed Logan Ryan, but it's still a need, right? Jason McCourty on one side right now, he's getting older and he wasn't great last season. In fact, he hasn't been really good for 3 seasons now. They could use a cornerback opposite of Logan Ryan. But to me, I have a hard time believing that John Robinson is going to take Lattimore with the 5th overall pick. John Robinson doesn't like taking guys that didn't have a lot of production out of college. He doesn't love taking one-year starters. He did take Kevin Dodd at the top of the second round last year, and he was a one-year starter. But outside of him, I don't think there was one player on that entire Titans draft, except for maybe Aaron Wallace or someone like that very low in the draft, like the 5th or 6th round in the Titans draft. All of the guys that the Titans drafted last year, they were all multiple-year starters, had a bunch of production and whatnot. Derrick Henry wasn't a multiple-year starter, I don't think, but he had a bunch of production regardless. So with Lattimore, I struggle with that a little bit. Now, personally, I would be fine with that. Again, we could use a cornerback on this football team, and I really like Lattimore, and I personally believe if he's healthy, he'll be a better NFL player than Jonathan Allen, Malik Hooker, and some other guys as well. But I really think John Robinson is going to fall in love with Jonathan Allen if he hasn't already. He has those multiple years of production. He's a put his head down and go to work type guy. He's unselfish. He's going to buy into the locker room mystique and, buy into the locker room morale and all that. Be a good leader, put his head down and just go to work. And that's what they're looking for. You're hearing John Robinson talk about building a culture. Mike Mularkey talk about building a culture of guys that just put their head down and go to work. And Jonathan Allen fits that mold, fits that bill. And I'd be fine with taking Jonathan Allen. He's about 7th on my big board right now. So it'd be just a tiny bit of a reach, but it's within value. I mean, it's fine. And I like Jonathan Allen. I think he will be a Pro Bowler at the next level. My only question for him is I'm not sure he's going to be the best defensive tackle or defensive end, in this case, 3-4 defensive end in the NFL. I don't think he's ever going to be Aaron Donald or one of those great 3-4 defensive ends, but I think he's going to be very good. I think he'll be Sheldon Richardson / Gerald McCoy level, which we could use. Okay, so hey, I will have no problems there. And again, some people don't think the Titans could use a 3-4 defensive end. Look, Daquan Jones is all right. The guy had 26 tackles last year, 1.5 sacks. He's okay. You can improve upon Daquan Jones. You can improve upon this defensive line who really does not have a dominant force outside of Jarrell Casey. Jonathan Allen, to me, he just seems so obvious right now to me. John Robinson is going to fall in love, if he has not already, with Jonathan Allen, the defensive end out of Alabama. But if they don't go with Jonathan Allen or Marshon Lattimore, look out for these guys. O.J. Howard, okay, who will probably now go top 10, at least top 12 in this upcoming 2017 NFL draft. To me, his stock has been rising lately. Teams are seeing the potential that he has, and they're seeing that he has a lot of things and traits that indicate he'll be a better pro player than he was a college player. So, and they seek to upgrade the tight end position, and I'm sure they will at this point because they haven't signed anyone for NC. Although they did re-sign Philip Supernall, they just don't have very good tight end depth right now. O.J. Howard is very possible. You know, the Titans, they want to use tight ends in this Mike Mularkey scheme. O.J. Howard fits the bill. He's a good blocker and a good receiver. Number 5, O.J. Howard is very possible. But to me, the only way it will happen, I think it has to, I could see it, but I think Lattimore and Allen have to be off the board, because other than that, man, it's tough to justify it. They could do it. Again, I wouldn't be too shocked, but I'd be surprised. I think, though, if Allen and Lattimore are somehow off the board, like if Lattimore goes 3 to the Bears and Allen goes 4 to the Jaguars, they could either seek to trade down, which they're probably going to try to do anyway, or take tight end O.J. Howard, which I would be okay with, but less okay than I would Lattimore or Allen. Like, if they take Allen, I'm giving it an A-. If they take Lattimore, I'm giving it an A. If they take O.J. Howard at number 5 overall, I think he's going to be very good. I think he's going to be a 1,000-yard tight end eventually, probably 2-3 years down the road. But tight end at number 5, I feel a little comfortable with that. I'm not sure how much value you're getting, so I'll probably only give it like a B or maybe a B- even, because I just don't buy into so much value for a tight end at number 5. I don't see much value there. That's just me. But anyway, if they don't go either one of those directions, how about Jamal Adams, Malik Hooker, or Reuben Foster? Now, Jamal Adams, okay, I have a little tough problem with that because, number 1, they just signed Jonathan Cyprien to a decent deal. Okay, now if you look at the base salaries of his deal, it indicates that, hey, you could justify him being a backup strong safety. You could justify that. But the problem is you also have Denoris Cersei as a backup strong safety as well, who's getting paid a decent amount. So they prepared to have 3 strong safeties, all getting paid a decent amount because the number 5th overall pick gets paid a decent amount. Are you prepared to have 3 strong safeties, all getting paid a decent amount, every year probably costing about $13-14 million per year, dedicating that much money to the strong safety position? I'm not sure about that. It just doesn't make much sense logistically, but if he's high on their board, if he's number 1 or number 2 on their board, they're probably going to take him at number 5. So I'm looking out for that. Malik Hooker, I really doubt it because I think they really like Kevin Byard. I've seen him, in a lot of their team articles on TitansOnline.com, which isn't a big deal, but to me, it does indicate, it does show sometimes who they're trying to mold as a face of this team or, faces of this team. And Kevin Byard's been featured a lot lately. I think they really like him. I've heard Robinson and Mularkey rave about Kevin Byard. So I think he's going to be their free safety moving forward. So I really doubt they're going to take Malik Hooker, who's very similar to Byard in that he's a center fielder, a guy who has great ball skills, can intercept a bunch of passes, and I think Byard may be better against the run, although Hooker is much better against the pass. So I'm not sure. They're very similar players to me. There are differences there, but I don't think it makes much sense at all to take Hooker when you have Kevin Byard right now, who you are grooming to be your free safety of the future. And then Reuben Foster is possible, but with him getting kicked out of the combine for yelling at some lady doctor or whatever he did, that doesn't indicate to me that he's going to buy into the culture that they're trying to set up. That, Mike Mularkey, he wants to build a locker room where guys aren't very combative, guys don't do crap like this. I highly doubt they would take Reuben Foster. I just don't see it. But again, it's possible, so let's talk about it. Let's move on to the 18th overall pick. And to me, this is the move. If a wide receiver is there, you got to take him. I understand that John Robinson comes from New England, in which they don't believe that wide receivers are that valuable. We're not going to take wide receivers with first-round picks. We're just not going to do it. But man, if a wide receiver is available at 18, you got to take him. And by the way, some people believe they should take one at number 5, but I don't think they should do that. Although I really like Corey Davis, it'd just be a reach, okay? It would just be a good reach to take Corey Davis. Now, if somehow Lattimore and Allen and O.J. Howard are gone, then I might do it, and Adams, and probably even Hooker too, because and that's not even possible. So to me, I wouldn't like it, honestly. It's just number 5 to take Corey Davis or Mike Williams. Yes, there's such a huge need at wide receiver, but they're just not of value because we're talking about Lattimore. If he's healthy, he's going to be a damn Pro Bowler. Same goes for Jamal Adams. Same goes for Jonathan Allen. We're talking about Pro Bowlers, dog. Okay, same goes for O.J. Howard. Corey Davis will be a very good wide receiver. Very good. I'm not sure he's going to make more than 2 Pro Bowls in his NFL career. Are you prepared to watch as Jonathan Allen goes to the San Diego Chargers and makes 5 or 6 Pro Bowls, maybe even goes to like the Hall of Fame or something? Are you prepared to sit back and do that because you needed a wide receiver in 2017? It doesn't make much sense to me. You got to take the guy that has the more upside at a position of which you could improve upon, right? So that's why I think they prefer to take Allen, or at least I would. And see, this is the problem. See, sometimes when you're making mock drafts and you're talking about your favorite team, you tend to project your own beliefs onto the team. So I apologize for doing that, but I really just don't see them taking a wide receiver number 5. But if one is available at 18, I think you have to, but I don't think they might. They might just skip out and say, we want David Njoku, who they worked out today. Okay, rumor has it, it's not even a rumor, I think it's pretty much confirmed. Ian Rappaport tweeted out today that they worked out David Njoku. We heard a couple weeks ago that they worked out O.J. Howard. They are looking into these tight ends heavily, and I could see them passing on John Ross, or God forbid Mike Williams or Corey Davis, for David Njoku. And I would be pretty upset. Because although I do like Njoku, I like all of these wide receivers better than Njoku. Mike Williams is about Njoku level for me. But the need of wide receiver is bigger than the need of tight end, period. I know Delaney Walker is pretty much done after probably 2 years, maybe 1 year. But the need of wide receiver is a bigger need. I fear, though, and we're going to talk about this in a second, that John Robinson has somebody in mind in round 3. And if he does, he might skip out on a wide receiver in the first round entirely, which to me would just be a mistake. I know you come from this New England philosophy where you don't believe wide receivers are that valuable. But hey, the Patriots just traded a first round pick for a wide receiver in Brandon Cooks. Okay, so you need wide receivers, and if you can get a wide receiver in here, we can finally get Marcus Mariota over that 4,000 passing yard threshold that he cannot break right now, which would be nice to have. I know it's not a great statistic, but it's just nice to have a more prolific passing game to me, and 4,000 yards is usually that threshold. So get him over that, okay, and allow our passing game to be more proficient, allowing our running game then, by product of that, to be more effective as well, because we're not just going to be that predictable running the ball team. You're more balanced there. So, I don't know. We'll see what they do. I have them taking John Ross, who I believe might be available. I'm not sure. It depends on who the Ravens want. The Ravens, to me, are going to take either a wide receiver or a running back. And they're the ones that could snatch up a Corey Davis before we could take him, or snatch up a John Ross before we could take him, or snatch up a Mike Williams before we could take him. And again, if you go back to Week 17, this is why I wanted to lose that Week 17 game against Houston Texans, because now you will see the result. If the Baltimore Ravens take Corey freaking Davis, and we miss out on Corey freaking Davis because we had to beat the Houston Texans with Matt Castle in Week 17, I'm not going to be very happy when I see Corey Davis years from now being a proficient and efficient wide receiver for years to come. I'm not going to be too happy, okay? But that's neither here nor there. I have them taking John Ross. Now, other possibilities beyond wide receivers, again, David Njoku, who I think they're very interested in. Look at possible corners if they don't take Lattimore in round 1. Tre'Davious White, Gareon Conley, Marlon, Humphrey. Now, I think the one they would like the most here would be Conley, followed by White, followed by Humphrey, because again, John Robinson liked these multiple year starters, guys that can production and whatnot. Conley has a good amount of production, and White has been starting for years at LSU. Humphrey is redshirt sophomore, so I think they would be less likely to take him, although they very well could take him as well. Also, look out for Haason Reddick, who would probably play inside linebacker in this scheme. They could seek to upgrade inside linebacker to me in this draft, and I do have them doing that, but later on in this draft. Look at round 3, I have them taking Cameron Sutton with their first third-round pick. Again, fits that John Robinson mold. He gets interceptions, gets production, multiple-year starter. Very good. And he's kind of local. He's over in Knoxville, which I argue isn't that close to Nashville, but whatever. He's over in Knoxville, kind of local. They can seek to upgrade their cornerback position with Cameron Sutton. And I would kind of even prefer this because Cameron Sutton to me is a guy that you can put in that slot day one and it works. Right now you have Jason McCourty, if he's healthy, which he may not be, Cameron Sutton in the slot, Logan Ryan on one side. Now you have, McCourty and Ryan on the outside, Sutton in the slot, damn good 3 cornerback trio. if you take Lattimore round 1, who is your slot corner? Because Lattimore is an outside guy, and I'm sure he has the ability to play in the slot if you need him to. But McCourty can't. McCourty, he can't play in the slot right now. He's getting too old. His hips aren't mobile enough to do that at this point. Ryan could do it, but now you're not getting as much value as you should be getting from him. So, to me, this route makes more sense for them to seek to upgrade corner in round 3, taking a guy that could play the slot this year and then moved outside probably after this year when McCourty is gone, never to return. So I think this would make more sense to me, and this is why this route, made more sense to me and why I went with it. When we look at some other possibilities, though, we have a bunch of corners like Rasul Douglas, Chidobe Awuzie out of Colorado, Jourdan Lewis out of Michigan, who might fall after a potential domestic violence thing, Damontae, Kazee, and yeah, that's pretty much it. But how about some wide receivers? So if they don't take a wide receiver in round 1, which I fear might be possible, I think they're looking at Kupp out of Eastern Washington. John Robinson was spotted at the Eastern Washington Pro Day, I want to say this week. The only reason you're at that Pro Day is to watch Kupp. And it makes damn sense. He fits that John Robinson prototype, that John Robinson mold, multiple-year starter, great route runner. Those wide receiver skills and traits that he looks for, Kupp has. Will he be here? I don't think so, right? So if they take him in round 3, they're probably going to have to move up, okay, assuming they don't take a wide receiver in round 1. And you have enough picks to do it. So don't be surprised if they package the 3rd pick that they have, the 83rd overall pick, and let's say their 5th overall pick, and they trade up to the 60s, maybe late 60s of the 3rd round, like 60 overall, so like the top 10 of the 3rd round, and they take Kupp. There's a chance that Juju Smith-Schuster falls as well. They could trade up for him, or maybe he's available at 83rd overall and they just take him outright, but I think you'd have to trade up a little bit. But he's been falling down lately, and my next overall mock draft will reflect that. We look at some other possibilities. They met with defensive tackle, Dalvin Tomlinson out of Alabama. He's kind of a nose tackle, and he could be a nose tackle on the next level if he just puts on a little more weight. And it makes sense, although I don't have them taking a defensive tackle in this mock draft. They just signed Sylvester Williams, who I do not love. And I'm already seeing people say, oh, we got Sylvester Williams. Oh, it's so good. No, it's not good. He's not good. But they signed him to a decent deal. I don't know why. And they're going to want to pair him against Austin Johnson and let them compete. Whoever wins probably won't be very good. And then next year they'll finally learn and they'll say, okay, we need to take a nose tackle high in the draft. Or perhaps maybe they'll pay one in free agency, but I doubt it. So I'll look out for Dalvin Tomlinson as a possibility here, but we'll see about that. We move on to their 2nd, 3rd round pick, 100th overall pick. And that I have right now mocked as tight end Jake Butt out of Michigan. And will he fall this far? I'm not really sure. He had the ACL injury in his bowl game, and it's hard to say when an NFL team will feel right taking him. If they don't go Jake Butt here because he's not available or they're not comfortable with his ACL injury, look out for Bucky Hodges out of Virginia Tech, Jordan Leggett out of Clemson, look out for Gerald Everrett out of South Alabama, look out for George Kittle out of Iowa. They're going to take a tight end to me day 1 or day 2. They've been looking at tight ends. They continue to look at tight ends. They're going to take a tight end. And they met with Jake Butt, I want to say, at his pro day. Let me look if I can real quick. Either at his pro day or his combine. It really doesn't matter. And they're looking at tight ends. I mean, this team is looking at tight ends. It's clear. And maybe they're just doing this to try to fool us or trick us. But I think it's clear that this team is looking for a tight end. Look at round 4, have them taking inside linebacker Connor Harris out of Lindenwood. Not much to talk about there, but this team could seek to upgrade inside. They lost Sean Spence to the Indianapolis Colts, and they still have Nate Palmer, and they signed this Darren Bates, but they could use a nice young inside linebacker. They did not take one last year. No, they did in Aaron Wallace, who's kind of an inside-outside hybrid guy, versatile guy, but I think they seek to upgrade again in the form of Connor Harris. That's what I have mocking, but they're going to take somebody. I don't care who it is. We look at round 5. I have them doubling down, taking another wide receiver. Here they take Stacy Coley out of Miami. Now, this is probably foolish of me to have this team taking 2 wide receivers, but when I look at the depth chart, man, you gotta do it. You gotta take 2 wide receivers. And by the way, this is why you should have just signed at least one in free agency. But now you're in trouble because you have Rishard Matthews, Tajay Sharp, Harry Douglas, and that is it. There is literally no one else. Do not tell me about what Eric Weems can do in the receiving game. The answer is nothing. He can't do anything in the receiving game. He stinks. Even in the return game, he stinks, and that will prove to be true. I think we'd be better off calling Darius Raynaud, because Darius Raynaud had a touchdown in 2012. When was the last time Eric Weems had a kick return touchdown, had a punt return touchdown? 2010. Darius Raynaud has scored a touchdown more recently than Mr. Eric Weems, who we decided to put preference on and sign to a deal in the first couple days of free agency. Unbeknownst to me, I don't know why we decided to do that. Even Tommy Campbell, has scored a receiving touchdown, a kick return touchdown, a punt return touchdown more recently than Eric Weems. I don't understand why we signed Eric Weems. Anyway, so because this wide receiver depth chart right now is just so porous, and it is porous. I mean, come on, it's bad. I mean, you're talking about even the first 3 guys, they're not good. I mean, Rishard Matthews is good. I like him. But really, he's a number 2 wide receiver, and a pretty good one. Okay, pretty good one. Tajay Sharp is let's say he's a number 3, a pretty good number 3, or a lower tier number 2. I would argue a pretty good number 3. They don't have a number 1, right? They don't have anyone. They don't have anyone that's even close to being a number 1 right now to me, although I do like Rishard Matthews. And then Harry Douglas, I don't think he deserves to make the team. I think Nate Washington might be better than Harry Douglas right now. I don't think Harry Douglas is very good at all. I prefer to call Nate Washington. Give him a call, bring it back over here, and let's see if we can win something with Nate Washington over Harry Douglas. But whatever, okay? Because at least I like Nate Washington. I'm not saying Nate Washington is better athletically at this point, but at least I like him. Nate Washington is a guy that was a great leader for this football team, and at least he brings that. I'm not sure what Harry Douglas brings, okay? Anyway, Stacy Coley. I have him mocked to the Titans. I think they have to double down at wide receiver, and perhaps John Robinson won't do it. I won't be surprised. But man, this wide receiver depth chart is pretty bad, and I think they have to. I mean, it's just bad. When you just have those 3 guys, what if Matthews gets injured? Who's your number 3 wide receiver? Man, Trey McBride. Oh, God. Yeah, this is going to be so fun. I'm going to see so many moronic and stupid Titans fans telling me about Trey McBride again. I'll never forget. Who was it that got injured? I want to say, I can't remember who it was. Kendall Wright, I think, got injured or benched. He got, benched. And then this one Titans writer was like, oh, good, now Trey McBride can have a chance. Why are we still talking about Trey McBride? I mean, what is it with our infatuation with these 6th wide receivers on the depth chart? I remember back when Michael Preston was running around on this football team, and people begged to see more of Michael Preston, and now they beg to see more of Trey McBride. They're not good, okay? My goodness. So I had them doubling down at wide receiver. Look at the 6th round. Quarterback Josh Dobbs, who may not be available at this point, I'll give you that. But there's been some buzz around the Titans and Josh Dobbs lately. I want to say they worked him out at his pro day, talked to him at his pro day. I think they talked to him at the combine as well. They are interested in Josh Dobbs, and it makes sense, right? First of all, I don't know why this team re-signed Matt Castle. Okay, that's just, I don't understand it. If you think Matt Castle is good, you're nuts. The guy stinks. I know he led us to victory week 17. He stinks, okay? So I would love this pick. And Joshua Dobbs is a guy that I don't love as a prospect. That's why he's going to go 5th or 6th round, maybe 4th at best. But as a backup to Marcus Mariota down the road, I really like that potential because it allows us to still do some of our exotic smash mouth nonsense if Mariota goes down, God forbid. And yeah, I'd be very interested in Josh Dobbs. We look at the last pick. I went with outside linebacker Brandon Bell out of Penn State. They're still going to take another pass rusher in this draft. I mean, they take one pretty much every year. The problem is they're never any good, right? So hopefully this one is actually good and he produces something. He gives us something. Where is DeAndre's mount? No one knows. No one cares. So there you go. That is my 2017 NFL Mock Draft 1.0 for the Tennessee Titans. What are your thoughts on this mock draft? Comment down below. I want to know. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, to subscribe. And until next time, this has been the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment. And I'm out. Peace.